What's up guys, I'm Taylor Thrasher. I'm a fitness and nutrition coach, and today I'm gonna show you how to make a healthier version of shepherd's pie. It's wintertime. This is one of me and my family's favorite dishes to have during the winter. I'm gonna show you how to make it a little bit more macro friendly, a little bit leaner, super easy to cook. Let's get into it. First thing that we're gonna do, we're gonna grab as many russet potatoes as you wanna use. Here I have 5. I gave them a quick rinse. I'm gonna take a little bit of avocado oil. I'm gonna drizzle some avocado oil on these bad boys, not a ton. And then get nice and friendly, rub them all together, get a good coating of oil on each of these potatoes. And we'll take some coarse kosher sea salt and just put the salt all over the potatoes. Make sure that it's sticking to the oil. You get the whole thing coated on your foil lined baking sheet. This is gonna replace the typical mashed potato topping that you would have on your traditional shepherd's pie, but it's gonna get rid of a ton of the calories that you would get from the milk, the butter, the sour cream that you would usually use when making mashed potatoes. So just line them up on your foil lined sheet. We'll pop these bad boys in the oven for 45 minutes to an hour on 400 degrees. And just like that, the potatoes are done. So now we need to start cooking our ground beef. We're gonna cook this down. This is the Costco stuff, so it's a little bit fattier. It's like 88-12. So we're gonna cook it down. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna drain the fat off of it, but we're also gonna save our pipes in our kitchens. We are not going to rinse the fat down the sink. Come out onto the stove. Let me show you how we get down with the beef. So we're gonna start with a cast iron skillet. We're gonna let it get nice and hot, and then we will cook the beef right in here. So you always wanna cook mushrooms over high heat. That way you can really get some color on them, because if you start them out too low, they're gonna release a lot of moisture. They're just gonna end up steaming versus like frying and getting that good brown to them. So that's why I let this pan preheat for a good amount of time before I toss the mushrooms in here. I used a small amount of avocado oil. I'm not the best with keeping up on the seasoning of my cast iron skillet, so I wanted a little lube in the pan before I popped them in, but yeah. We'll just get these soft, we'll return them to the bowl that they came out of, then we'll get into the beef. The onion that I actually forgot to mention, we're gonna go for that first. Pop the onion in the pan, let it get nice and soft. This is how I'm stringing you guys along. Oh, I thought he was gonna cook the beef. No, not yet. But you thought, that's why you're still here. Once the onions are soft, throw in, I got like 4 or 5 cloves of garlic here. We'll cook the garlic till it's fragrant, and then we'll pull this out. Then we'll cook the beef for reals this time. We got the onions and the garlic. They're translucent, they're fragrant, so we're gonna pull these out and put them in the same bowl with the mushrooms. Set those off to the side. Now, we can finally crank the heat and get down with the beef. So we've got our two and a little bit pounds of ground beef from Costco. We're gonna cook this off. I'm hoping, that my calculations were right, and this is gonna cook down to 2 pounds fully cooked and drained. We'll see how I do later on. So we'll just let this sit in the hot pan and get some good color on it before we mess with it too much. I'm just pressing it down so everything gets good contact. Crank the heat up as high as it'll go. That way we can get some nice color on it. All right, so this has been going. Got a little color on the bottom, as you can see. So we're gonna give it a little mix up, and then I'll show you how we're gonna get rid of all the fat while I get my nice ground beef facial. I'm turning the heat down to about medium right now too, so we don't continue to get any black bits on the bottom. All right, this is how we're gonna get rid of the fat. Get you a wad of paper towels. I'm gonna start with 3. Stinking cast iron, you gotta have the glove on. Lean the meat to the back of the pan, put the paper towel in there, and just let it soak up all the grease. You're getting rid of it, you can just throw this in the trash can. You're not ruining the pipes. You don't need to call a plumber. I had to do that at the other house. Too much ground beef grease down the sink, dude. Clogged it up. Not so good. Just like that. Easy money. Somebody out there is gonna complain that paper towels have chemicals on them and you're putting it in your food. There's chemicals in all the food that we eat. Even your precious vegetables are covered in poison. Sometimes I like to have a bowl that I can just put the paper towels in and take them to the trash can that way, so I'm not trying to walk across the kitchen with a dripping paper towel full of beef grease. That's how you get it lean though. You gotta get that fat off of there somehow if you want that lean ground beef. I have heard that you can literally get a fattier ground beef leaner by soaking up the fat or draining off the fat than you can from buying a lean ground beef from the grocery store, like a 94.6 or something. It actually is leaner if you do something along these lines. We'll tilt the pan, we'll get the last little bit. All right, that's about as lean as it needs to get right there. Usually when I track this in MyFitnessPal, I will track it as 90% lean, 10% fat. If it's a little bit leaner, oh well, I'm getting more protein and less fat than I'm accounting for, but I always like to err on that side, if anything. And we're ready to season the beef. So here I have all the spices and seasonings. I'll put these in the description down below. Hit the beef with the seasonings. We'll stir in our 2 tablespoons of tomato paste as well. We'll let the tomato paste cook down a little bit before we add the Worcestershire sauce and the mushrooms and onions and everything back in. Once that goes for a few minutes, go ahead, dump in your Worcestershire sauce. We'll get all these mushrooms, onions, and garlic back in here. All right, now we're gonna add 1 cup of beef broth. And 1 cup each of mixed peas and carrots and frozen corn. One of my favorite parts right here. We'll mix all this together. We'll let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Dude, this is so bomb. This is one of my favorites for the winter time when it's cold out. All right, let's plate this up. So this is what it looks like when everything is said and done. We're gonna set one of these potatoes up. Now I told you that this wasn't exactly the most traditional shepherd's pie, but it's a little bit healthier. We're not doing the mashed potatoes. It's not gonna have all the butter and all the cream, but if you take one of these baked potatoes, open this sucker up, you can do a nice little presentation like this. Dude, get you some of this. And usually what I'll do is I will weigh the beef out. If I'm shooting for 8 ounces, I'll serve up like 10 because you're gonna have a little extra weight from the weight of the broth. You've got the weight of the veggies, but this is how I would get down. And if you're feeling a little saucy and you want to indulge a little bit, check this out. A little bit of Parmesan cheese goes a long way on here. There you go. High protein, lower fat than usual. Call it a baked potato with shepherd's pie guts all over it. That's how we do it. I'm Taylor Thrasher. Thank you for watching. I'll catch up with you guys on the next one. I gotta go smash this. Later.